again. We have Godxilla, who's worked with Cuckoo Cal, Lil Boosie, right? Make some noise, come on. D-Teck, A&R for Convict Music. Make some noise. DJ Payne One, who's worked with Ludacris, Rick Ross, 50 Cent. Yeah, I didn't forget it this time, now what? Public Enemy, The Game, Jadakiss, the list goes on and on and on and on and on and on for them. So make some noise again. They're taking time out their day to come up here and judge, answer questions, things of that nature.
Okay, so for me, this last week was my last week at Madison Media Institute. For the past year and a half, I was a dean of students, and I started as an instructor and a student before that, while Shaw was still there as a student, right? Talking about 07, 08. I had 20 years in the recording studio before I got there, and you know, some of the stuff that I really enjoyed, you know, Cal was probably the best hang in the studio, but I learned more from Rico Wave, Organized Noise, than I think anybody ever, you know. I spent a lot of time with him in the studio. For me stepping down right now, again, my plan is to move to Los Angeles. I've been mixing and mastering records. I've been mixing records out of, hey, hooked me up with somebody in Ontario, right? So I'm mixing records from Ontario, as well as I just did a cat named, I can't even call his last name right now. He's one of the guys on the World's Most Dumbest, one of the comedians, right? The World's Most Dumbest, the video happens and then a comic shows up and says a thing. He did a comedy show in California. I just mixed that comedy show, and I don't know who they'll sell it to after the fact, but I just mixed that in 5.1. So, because I've been doing a lot of surround mixes lately. So I'm moving to California. I already got my crib in Sherman Oaks. I sell my house here June 18th, and then I'm going to just do America, drive across the road, see some things, and when I get there, we'll figure out what we'll do next. It's just being there is to start with, you know. That's where we keep going.
Thank you.
Hello everybody. I'm D-Teck from Convict Music. I got a little accent, you hear me? Right? So I'm about 10 years in the game. I never used to like music before I started, to be honest with you. So, you know, my calling in this business has been becoming A&R, because I'm so critical of music. It took a while for me to start liking music. When I did, I'm like the Simon Cowell of judging, you know, music and stuff like that. So, because I'm so critical when it comes to music and all that, I decided to go in the A&R field, right? I was an artist before that. You know, I tried it out. Didn't really work out for me because there was too many things I wanted to do as an artist, and I just couldn't find an identity. So I decided to just stick and do the business part of stuff. I've been focused on a lot of the international aspect of stuff that people bypass. Like, I actually brought attention to the first K-pop group to be signed to an American label, JQT.
Give it up for that.
Currently have this Bollywood artist that I'm working with. DJ Payne is working very close with him too. His name is Rahul, and they're doing a lot of major stuff over there right now. So far, one of my biggest accomplishments as an A&R is finding the band Common Kings. Common Kings is a Polynesian band, and when I found them, they really didn't need a label, to be honest with you. They were already like just killing it. Like their shows, 20,000, 30,000, you know, so it kind of like raised my standard of like when I'm seeking talent, I try to find people that are already like doing it big for themselves, you know. That's very attractive because, you know, labels, they look at artists as liability. So the least of a liability you are, the better chance you have to get a good deal. You understand? Where I'm at now in my career, I'm the A&R for Convict Music, but recently I acquired 50% shares in Invigorator Records. Basically, Invigorator Records is an independent label that did 1.5 million independently in 2006 with no major, but there was nobody like me on board. You know, they debuted on the Billboard at number 7 with Aaron King's Got Love. So now I'm just reforming everything, and I'm going to move it further. I'm going to be looking for talents. I'm going to be looking for artists. We got Universal and Sony already interested in partnering with us. We'll see, but I'm going to be scouting very soon for that. Right?
I just make a lot of beats. I'm working more on branding and trying to get my brand as sustainable as possible, so that I can kind of break away from the industry paradigm a little more. Not that I'm not still working with industry artists or anything like that, but I would like more control over the music that I create, and so I'll be shifting the scales a little more in favor of me as an independent musician. So that means I'm going to have a hell of a year, and I already have so far, so it's only going to get worse. And by worse, I mean better, so I'm just working with a lot, and not necessarily producing for projects, but more licensing, more independent drum kit releases, more partnerships with producer-oriented organizations. I've already partnered with 3 fairly big websites, such as Machine Masters, Producer Grind, BedroomProducersBlog.com, so on and so forth, and then still working with artists, and as D-Teck said, working with artists on an international level as well, shopping music to Bollywood films, which is the biggest film industry on the globe. Yep.
Can you tell them what Bollywood is?
It's the Indian film industry, so it's based in India. So that's what I'm doing, making music, branding, and I'll leave in the house.
All right, thank you.
Had a challenge in my profession.
Godxilla, you're making it tricky today.
Okay, so a big challenge for me, I have no desire to be an employee.
Word.
That's my biggest challenge. I'm not going to punching nobody's clock and letting somebody tell me how much money I'm going to make or what my taxes are going to look like. If you're not going to let me be the boss, I quit. So that's what happened.
All right, give it up for that.
In California and be my own damn boss.
Let me do a follow-up to that real quick. So what allowed you to be in the position to be able to do that? Because not just everyone can just throw in the towel and quit, right? You got to be ready for that. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Okay. Right. No, this is completely. But this is the craziest thing. So as an employee, when I would walk into a situation, I would bring that and put that back on the table for the entire organization. Case in point, I walked into a theme park in the Dells, and I recognized that they didn't have any marketing or distribution, marketing, promotion, no social, no anything. Something like that I would have took back and said, hey, let's get some graduates and let's get them and let's get involved. Right? But I mean, it's almost worth 10 bands for me to take it home for myself, which is what I did. You know, and to manage that, now all I got to do is buy a phone that manages all their social accounts, and when it comes up, and just click on it, keep it moving, right, and respond to that. So for me, it was education, but it's education with a hustle. Almost all of y'all know how to get on the block and get it, all day, every day. The problem that you have is you don't know how to take that same hustle you got on the block and put it in the boardroom. The moment you know how to do that, can't nobody stop you from doing shit. I know we're in the church, but they can't stop you.
That's right.
It's the education. It's how are you going to take these ideas and all this hustle and all this grind and everything that you see? We can make money here, we can make money here. Yeah, cuz, put it on paper. The moment you put it on paper and just put a couple of clip art icons on the side of the paper and show somebody, give me $5,000 and I'll make this shake for you, they'll give it to you because they understand it when it's on paper. So that's what allows me to do that. I have a master's degree in entertainment business, so I look at angles that most people wouldn't look at, and I would just encourage you to look at education, and I'll never dog Madison Media, I never dog mine, because that's home for me. I lived there for 8 years, it's where I love, and ain't no place like home. So don't get that twisted. If you really want to get your squabble up, Go to school. And then, don't go to school there, go to school somewhere. Because once you can put that education to that game you got, that same thing that allows you to get on the block and find new J's and put fresh deuces on the whip. That's the same thing you take in the boardroom. I'm as hood as I want to be in the boardroom. What you gonna do? Either you hire me or you not. Sorry, okay. In the place, I froze and we argued about what market it should be. I'm like, I'm good. They called me back 4 days later, like, we sorry? All right, good, let's get it.
Give it up for being hood in the boardroom. I love that one. All right, D-Teck, if you could let us know what the current challenges are in your position.
I mean, as an A&R consultant, I often get artists coming out of the woodworks, nowhere, hey, can you sign me? Like every day on LinkedIn. Like I was showing Payne one earlier, like they want a message I got just between jobs from the airport to here. Like people just sitting left, right, and center. They have no following, nobody knows who they are but themselves, right? People fail to understand that music is 80% business, 20% talent. And the talent part is the easiest part of it. If you don't get your business intact, you will never make a dime in this industry. That's why that everybody want to be in the music business. Everybody claims to be in the music business, but only a few people making money. The people that actually take the time out to learn the business, they're the one that makes the money. You understand? Because you would be in situations where you, honestly, a lot of artists set up themselves for it. Oh, they want to get a deal. Okay, somebody sign them, give them just something, and own everything they have, and then make millions off it. And then you only get like scraps, right? I always encourage artists to go the independent route. You understand? Learn the business, brand yourself. There's a lot of revenue streams other than record sales, right? And to be honest, the reason why a lot of labels are putting artists in 360 deals right now is because record sales are declining. So you know what? They want a piece of your clothes, they want a piece of your shows, they want a piece of your management, booking, all the stuff. They want it all. And if you look at it, you can't blame them. It's a business. You understand? Like, a label is a bank, right? They're not going to invest in you unless they see that you are worth investing in. They're not going to put $1 million in you know that you're only going to return $10,000. That don't make no sense. But part of the game is that. And of course, they're going to want to see all their money first, right? Before you see a dime. And they're going to recoup at industry rate. So best believe you sign a record deal and you're in the studio. Let's say they sign up the Payne One studio. Payne One really charges $50. But guess what? They're booking you at like $200. That's industry rate. And the bottle of water that they bring to you, it's $1, right? $2 for it. And everything is in a tab. You think that you get a deal for $1 million, you get $1 million of debt. And that's what you got to pay back before you see a dime. Payne One to tell you, you have platinum records that you have negative royalties on, right? Right? So if you don't know your business, you're gonna be you're gonna be in the same spot that you are right now. It's better you learn the business, understand marketing, understand branding, you understand, and find different revenue streams. There are licensing opportunities, there are films, there are movie placements, there are commercials. Sell t-shirts, hats, you know, different stuff that you could generate money from. If you think about it, when a label does it, they give you a bigger platform, yes, right? But guess what? You're getting a percent, a small percent of a cent for each sale that you make, right? And when you look at it, you're really not making anything right now. I know a lot of high-profile artists, well, so-called high-profile artists, you know, that don't have a dime. Nothing. They're known though. They work on your TV every day. Every day. They don't have a dime in their pocket. Trust me. It's perception versus reality. And when you learn to separate both, you have realistic expectations and go about things realistically. You know, ain't nobody gonna walk up to you and hand you $1 million for doing nothing. It's a business. If that's the case, all of y'all in here would have been millionaires entering the music business. Y'all talented people, you know? So, Payne One.
Challenge as a producer was just finding space in the industry. The influence I have without the industry is what's going to be my foundation, you know, for the rest of my career. So just trying to find innovative ways to do that and innovative ways to build my brand so that I can exist on my own terms, make the music I want to make, and just, you know, it's gonna mean working, you know, 13-hour days, but I do that anyway, so it's worth it.
Give it up for working 13-hour days.
Discussion. Please explain what it means that you're in debt off your platinum record, but you know you're not really in debt.
I'm really in debt on one particular Universal Records account. So every time well, it depends on what your situation is. I'm not signed to Universal. I'm not signed to any label. I'm an independent producer. You know? So every time I sell a beat, it's like an independent contractor type of situation. So each individual beat, consider each individual beat I sell a separate bank account, right? And the advance is the loan that the bank is giving me. The label pays me in advance. Think of that as a bank loan. So I get to keep that money, do whatever I want with it. However, every expense, including that event, say they give me $5,000 for a beat, right? I'm going in, my account is -5. Let's say they charge me for sample clearance $10,000. Isn't what it should be based on logic. So if the album doesn't sell phenomenally well and I don't generate 25,000 plus on that account's going to remain in the negative numbers. So if I generate $50,000 off that one song based on album sales or single sales, cool, then I get 25,000. But giving you money in anticipation of something else, right? So people learn, yeah, you learn the hard way when you actually have an account, and then you look at the itemized list of them, like, damn, you charging me for that? I really don't.
Question about that in the back?
Yeah, so who all gets paid for the producer? Like, so you got all that debt, so...
He said who all gets paid
label.
before the producer
It's
gets
the
paid?
The record label is the bank, so they got to get every cent of their investment back at the industry rate. Which you can actually explain that better than I can.
Alright, so basically the way it works, right? You have an account, right? Record label advance you. Let's say they give you a $50,000 advance.
I feel like we should have had visual aids for this one.
Let's say they give you a $50,000 advance, right? So that advance is for you to produce a single and, you know, maybe a video for that single, right? So here's what happened. We go to a studio. The studio is charging $100 per hour, right? So they're billing the label, but the label is billing you at $200 per hour, right? So that's industry rate, right? So that's the price you pay for them for the money. You're gonna pay the rates that which they set. That's not what they paid in all actuality, right? They bring the water in. Oh, they give you everything you want. They bring the Hennessy, they bring the champagne, they bring the girls, they bring you your weed, anything you want. You have it. But guess what? Charging you an industry rate. You understand? By the time you finish producing that single, because you ball out, you're a baller, you know, it costs the label $75,000.
Everybody say industry rate.
That's what it costs the label, right? So now, you, on top of the advance that you owe, the advance, like Payne said, it's the money they give you in anticipation that you're making back that money, right? So, you don't see a dime until the record label recoup every penny that they claim they invest in you. So in reality, they may spend $30,000, but our industry rate is $75,000, right? And you don't see a dime from it until they generate all that money back and then you get paid according to whatever is in the agreement. Maybe they agree to pay you at statutory rate, you know, like maybe you get 9 cents or 9 cents per sale or something. It depends. So you don't actually see them. The only thing you're gonna get is like performance royalties, and that's if they don't take it from you too. You know, so you know, be careful what you sign to. You gotta, you know, get somebody that knows the lingo, like perpetuity and all that stuff. You might end up giving the label that situation for life.
Let me ask a question on that, though. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So, everybody can hear me? Can everybody hear me? Okay, because this is something that I think I wrestle with a lot in this market. How would a label take the approach if somebody delivered this single that was already completed, and it is completed to a level that's professionally there and commercially viable? Recording is the term I'm looking for. They delivered a technically and commercially viable recording, right? Because this is contract language, right? To the label. Is that something that they can do themselves through making that good investment on the beginning of the recording to take some of that out of the label's hands later on? Or would the label still insist we need to re-record it? It depends. But what I recommend every artist to do that's in a situation like that, own your own studio situation. You know, if it's even a home setup, right? Make a company, make an LLC, charge label, whatever you want, and make that money back too. You understand? Yeah, you gotta play the same game with them. They ain't gotta know you own the studio. It's called Beatmakers Brawl Inc. or something. And that's what the label is paying. That's who's billing them. But the money's coming to your pocket. So if you don't generate the money, you still winning, right? Yeah. Yeah, everything go back in the house. You know, try to be entrepreneurs too. You know, create your own company and try to make the money back from the label, because you have the option who you go to, but guess what? You're billing the label as a company. I'm not telling you all this. Because you're looking for international music. We local, you know, we national, we're not international.
Wow, this is good stuff, you guys. You're not going to get this obviously you're not going to get this anywhere else. So,
but I asked the question because when we start talking about what professional race look like or feel like, a person may not want to cut paying the money he's asking for the track. They might go, well, little homie down the street got, you know, FL Studio, we're going to go get it from him because he's just as good, you know, we're going to make it do what it do because that's our guy. But the reality is homie's delivering technically qualified music already. So you cut that part of the equation of, is this going to work or do I have to have the beat remade out of it by getting the people who can actually run with you. I don't record anybody from Madison really. I work with 1 or 2 people in Madison. And the reason is because people say that my rates are too high. That's fine, no problem, because I'm working everywhere else around the country. But at the end of the day, if you got to go and have them recut it for you, you just lost. You should have paid someone qualified to do it.
Yeah, so, you know, when y'all get that advance money and you want to ball out and take them Instagram pictures, you go to Diddy Studio or Platinum Sound, just to take a picture with that big, pretty SSL board, and to have Jerry One in the back, you know, you say, yeah, you were here, and they're charging you this whole heap of money for something that you could have paid Payne One to do, and keep the rest of the money. You know, you can contract Payne One and still charge a label from your company. You know?
There's a question in the back.
As an A&R, kind of like this, right? Yeah. Finding artists and getting finder's fee, and also I could lock in as a percentage of the management. I ain't got to do nothing with them. We can take to label and keep myself on the contract. I'm executive producer on everything, you know, and you know, try to get involved in some of the projects too, and you know, not just executive produce, but actually try to get in the production of the artists that I bring to the table's project. You understand? And management, consultation. You know, I do a lot of consultations. I make a lot of money from consultation, actually. Yeah.
Can you talk about what you mean by consultation and what that would look like if someone's hiring you to do consulting?
I teach you how to get from there to here.
And that's not free, right?
It's not free, but I mean,
why isn't it free?
Because there's 24 hours in the day and there's bills to pay. And if I give you 5 hours out of my 24, I got 8 for sleeping, and you just take away 5 hours of my work. That's something I could, consult somebody else that's paying, or I could be doing something that's constructive that's going to, pay me. I'm not saying I charge every time, but I'm not going to go all in depth for free. I have no problem giving you a little, giving you a little insight, guide to make sure that you're going along the right path for free. But if you want to be on the phone with me all day, I have stuff to do. It costs. And I mean, that's not fair, is it? Yes.
Godxilla or DJ Payne One, do you have any comments about consulting? Do you guys do consulting work?
Yes, sometimes. I've done it a couple times. It's not really something that people seek me out for, though. They definitely seek an A&R before a producer for that.
Where I'm going with this is I hear oftentimes, especially around Madison with newer artists that are looking to learn the skills, people feel, they want to benefit from your knowledge, but they don't understand why you might charge a fee for that.
But, and you know what's crazy? And this is a pattern, and it's a fact because of, people that I deal with. The most talented people are the ones that can't really afford a consultation sometimes, the majority of the time. And the people that can't have just rubbish music, and I speak the truth. I never not because they're bringing money, I oh yeah, the music sounds good or this and that. No, I don't like it, I tell them straight up. I don't like it. But that's my personal opinion, so you can't just go off my opinion only. That's just from my ear, And I mean, very much.
You ever said anything, Godxilla?
I'm listening. Yeah, but no. For me, consultation is different because people say they want consultation, but they ain't listening. And when I realize, so I give you the game for free, but when I say go zig and then you zag, I'm like, yo, zig. I said zig. You still zagging though. And you just ain't gonna even stop zagging, is you? Like, all right. And so at that point, when I'm just even trying to give it to people, here you go, I knew a cat was on his way. A cat that I firmly believe was on his way. He was so on his way and the team around him was so dope that I told the cat that worked for me. He was one of my employees. He said, Zilla, I think I want to quit, and I think I really want to go join Homie on tour. I want to get, I want to get with it. I want to make these things happen. I'm like, you know what? This team is dope, and I see Homie doing real big things. Yeah, you should probably quit your job and go on tour. Go see the world, and this is a good path. He's got tours lined up all summer. Dope. Well, the guy that he decided he's gonna go do this with, as his whole life was set up and laid out in front of him, he was, to my understanding, he was given a management contract. And when he was given a management contract, he said, I don't want to sign a management contract. Well, you wouldn't even have a damn tour if the guy who had been doing your management work wouldn't have gotten it for you. Right, so after I told Homie to quit his job, to go on tour with dude, this dude decides not to sign a management deal, right? The moment he decides not to sign it, guess what happens? You lose all of his dates. Because the manager was like, you don't want to sign my deal? I just put all this on the table for you. Why you know what? I'm going to call everybody, you are now off your shows. Thank you for not signing the deal. Because he's not listening. Because, I made it. You didn't make nothing, because I can find 100 people that can rap. And you may or may not be a star. Which I don't understand is being an A&R. I understand A&Rs. I used to hate A&Rs for years. But I understand it. Because they
special. Their livelihood depends on you being special. Don't nobody care nothing about how well you can rap. And the less special you are, the better your business ought to be, right? And the better you ought to be able to follow direction to put yourself in the right positions to get on. But a lot of times, the special just so hard-headed that they can't listen, right? And even the people who say they want that game and that guidance, you give them just a little bit and say, okay, here's what I've given you. Here's the contract, let's get money. I don't need that because I'm cold, I'm already on. No, you're not on, cuz. You look at, people hate Justin Bieber. I used to make my classes write papers on Justin Bieber. I make them watch Never Say Never. Go watch Never Say Never and write me a paper for extra credit. And they would hate it because they all hated Justin Bieber. But you know what they learned? That the guy you saw on stage was the product of 30 other people working behind the scenes. It wasn't him. He couldn't even tell the barber how to cut his hair. Somebody was back there telling the barber, cut his hair like this because he has to look like his posters. Right? So at the point where he decides he wants to break bad and don't want to listen, now he's in all kind of trouble and all the news and everything else. Why? Because he's no longer wants to be what's going on with the team. So you give people this game, you start talking about, guys, hey, my man, that's my chair. My man, that is my chair. Please put my, okay, thank you. Don't take my seat, cuz. But that's it. So for me, when you start talking about sharing with people or teaching people or things like that, or consultations, I get consultations all the time. Rarely does somebody say zig when I say zag, so I just go my own way, mind my own business.
Everybody say zig, not zag. And I just want to say that information was so good that it had a Muslim catching the Holy Ghost that whole year.
Hey, I ain't made none of that up. It all happened.
It did happen. It's facts.
Yeah. Okay, Sandy, yes.
Even if I'm not with the label anymore, I'm going to still be doing a lot of independent A&R stuff, you know? I do a lot of placements, songwriters, producers, independent of my label, you know? And that's a revenue stream. Like, I don't see myself not being, it doesn't matter what else I am at the time, being an A&R is definitely going to be a part of it too. Because I got to make sure I'm shopping quality stuff. You understand? I mean, I could have apprentices, but at the end of the day, if they're not bringing me exactly what I want, I can't trust their ears fully. So, being an A&R, I think, to be honest, I think everybody is an A&R, like in the music business, basically, because you have to make sure. All right, well, okay, even artists too. You A&R your own project. You select the beat because you think that's the beat that you think that beat is fire. You write a dope song to it because you think that's what it's supposed to be. And I'm just like a second opinion. Nah, son, it ain't rocking. You know? So, I guess, to answer your question, no, I'm going to forever be an A&R in some aspect, no matter what part of the business I get in. As long as it's in the music business or film, I'm gonna be an A&R. There are many ways of doing it, right? You could, okay, how a lot of people get in is they probably find a couple hot acts that they probably shop to the label, or, you know, and maybe the label sign that person. That's like a gateway. That's like a foot in the door, right? So that the label start trusting you because you keep bringing them stuff that they like. You're like, how about you apply for the position when it's available? You know? And not only that, like Sony, Warner Brothers, all of them, they're always hiring A&R interns anyway, and that's a foot in. Or you can just know the right people. You just network a lot. You meet the right people will connect you to, you know, to the right situations. You gotta go out to all these stuff and network. Me personally, people see me on Instagram and think I'm partying. I'm not partying. I either get paid to be there, or there's something there for me that's going to be beneficial towards something in the long run, or networking. You gotta have some kind of value, you know? I mean, there are many different ways of getting through the doors in A&R, you know? And it's not limited to being an independent A&R going in. You could just apply to a label and just get in. Because I'm not going to call no names. There's a lot of A&Rs at major labels that don't know anything about music. Seriously. As you can see, hence the industry right now. You know? Look at the, you know, I'm not going to call no names. Yeah, but there's a lot of A&Rs that don't know anything about music, and they kind of ruin the ones that don't have any foundation in the business itself, no grassroots, no street knowledge of the business. They sit around the desk all day. They don't even know what's hot outside. They're the ones that's spoiling the business. And you don't want to be one of those, because you go to any of those labels right now, every 3 months these A&Rs get fired. Boom, 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 boom. I've been an A&R with Convict since I've been an A&R with Convict, like for 5, 6 years.